My brothers and sisters, this is Isabel by His grace with a very urgent message for you English-speaking people of the Lord in this Sabbath 3/14 of year 2020. Sister Escalante, Daisy Escalante, is a sister that has been receiving dreams and visions and messages from the Lord. And every week the angel tells sister messages also by giving us scriptures, quoting scriptures, and then so we can study and meditate on those scriptures and learn the lesson. So I've been trying to keep up from a short time to here, but in Spanish. And this is I don't know if this is the first one or the second one in English, but I need to tell you this message. The passages for today was Ezekiel chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in chapter 1 of Ezekiel, we see the vision of the Lord and his throne and the four living beings that we can see them also in chapter 4 of Revelations. I will not speak of those celestial beings because the message for today is different, but it's amazing to understand who they are and what they do and what is the meaning of them. But today the Lord is giving a message of urgency, and it starts on chapter 2, and it says, He said to me, a human being, stand up. I want to speak with you. As he spoke to me, a spirit entered me and put me on my feet, and I heard him who was speaking to me. He said, human being, I am sending you to the people of Israel, that nation of rebels who have rebelled against me. They and their ancestors have been transgressing against me to this very day, because they are defiant, hard-hearted children. I am sending you, and you are to tell them, here is what Adonai Elohim says. Whether they listen or not, this rebellious house will still know that a prophet has been among them. As for enlightenment, these messages were for Israel, and when Israel and Judah were already apart, when the 10 tribes of Israel were apart, worshiping those 2 idols, 2 golden calves that Jeroboam made for them, and they were taken into captivity by the Assyrians, and then Judah followed, taken into captivity to Babylon, because also walked in the ways of Israel, worshiping the 2 calves and the idols that they worshipped. That's why they were taken in captivity. Now the Lord is giving this message for us at this time. We are downward to the end right now. What happens with the virus is nothing for the things that the Lord is saying here that it will happen to the people of God. And that is the urgency of the message. Israel are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. So Israel at this point means all the churches that they believe that they belong to the Lord. And then all the Christian churches, and then Judah would be the Seventh-day Adventist. But also there's another division, because it has been like that through all the history, Israel history, and the people of the Lord. There's another division because Seventh-day Adventist people has been called by the Lord for many years already. And there is Israel in as the Seventh-day Adventist, and Judah, the ones that are trying to find their way to the Lord, to God. Both groups are worshiping, are captive. One is in Assyria and the other one is in Babylon by the time of this message. So Assyria became Babylon, so it's all of them are in the same. But Judah, it is different, because Judah was the place where they worshiped the true God. And all the story we can read in Second Kings chapter 17. How they worship the idols, and then they worship God and they worship the idols. They did all their generations the same. And the Lord is speaking to Israel and Judah for those sins, because of those sins were the ones they committed. So the Lord is speaking to the Seventh-day Adventists right now like the way He spoke to them. So it continues saying, as for you, human being, don't be afraid of them, for their words, even if briars and thorns surround you, and you sit among scorpions. Don't be afraid of their words or be upset by their looks, for they are a rebellious house. You are to speak my word to them, whether they listen or not, for they are very rebellious. But you, human being, hear what I am telling you. Don't you be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I am about to give you. When I looked, there was a hand stretched out to me, holding a scroll. He spread it out in front of me, and it was covered with writing front and back. Writing on it were laments, dirges, and woes. He said to me, human being, eat what you see in front of you. Eat the scroll. Then go and speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he gave me the scroll to eat, as he said, human being, eat this scroll I am giving you. Fill your insides with it. When I ate it, it tasted as sweet as honey. And I make a pause here, my brothers and sisters, because the message of God, the plan of salvation is as sweet as honey when we understand that straight from the scriptures. Seventh-day Adventists have made their own doctrine about the Lord and about Yeshua. They have defiled the sanctuary, as they say here, as the Lord says here. And the message of salvation through the Lord, through Christ, is a message sweet that they still don't know how sweet it is. Human being, he said to me, go to the house of Israel and speak my words to them. For you are not being sent to a people with a difficult language and unintelligible speech, but to the house of Israel. Not to many peoples with difficult languages or unintelligible speech, whose words you cannot understand when you hear them. Without doubt, if I send you to them, they would listen to you. But the house of Israel will not be willing to listen to you because they aren't willing to listen to me. Since all the house of Israel are obstinate and hard-hearted. However, I am making you as defiant and obstinate as they are. Yes, I am making your resoluteness harder than flint, as hard as a diamond. So don't be afraid of them or depressed by how they look at you, because they are a rebellious house. Then he said to me, human being, receive in your heart and hear with your ears all my words that I speak to you. Then go to the exiles, to your countrymen, and speak to them. Tell them, here is what Adonai Elohim says, whether they listen or not. A spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me a very loud sound. Blessed be the glory of Adonai from his place. It was the sound of the wings of the living creatures as they beat against each other, and the sound of the wheels next to them, a very loud sound. So a spirit lifted me up and took me away. I went in bitterness and the heat of my spirit, with the hand of Adonai strong on me. I went to the exiles who were living in Tel Aviv by the Kebar River, and stayed with them there in a stupefied state for 7 days. After 7 days the word of Adonai came to me. Human being, I have appointed you to be a watchman for the house of Israel. When you hear a word from my mouth, you are to warn them for me. If I say to a wicked person, you will certainly die, and you fail to warn him, to speak and warn the wicked person to leave his wicked way and save his life, then that wicked person will die guilty, and I will hold you responsible for his death. On the other hand, if you warn the wicked person and he doesn't turn from his wickedness or his wicked way, then he will still die guilty, but you will have saved your own life. Similarly, when a righteous person turns away from his righteousness and commits wickedness, I will place a stumbling block before him. He will die because you failed to warn him. He will die in his sins. His righteous acts which he did will not be remembered, and I will hold you responsible for his death. But if you warn the righteous person that a righteous person should not sin, and he doesn't sin, then he will certainly live because he took the warning, and you too will have saved your life. The hand of Adonai came on me there, and he said to me, get up, go out to the valley, and I will speak with you there. So I got up and went out to the valley. The glory of Adonai was there, like the glory I had seen by the Kebar River, and I fell on my face. A spirit entered me and put me on my feet. Then he spoke with me and said to me, go, shut yourself inside your house. Human being, you are going to be bound with ropes, unable to go out among the people. I will make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth, so that you will be mute, unable to reprove them. For they are a rebellious house. But when I speak with you, I will open your mouth, and you will say to them, this is what Adonai Elohim says. Whoever is inclined to listen will listen, and whoever is inclined to refuse will refuse, because they are a rebellious house. As for you, human being, take a clay slab, lay it down in front of you, and draw on it the city of Jerusalem. Show it under siege. Build towers against it. Raise earthworks against it. Set set up camps against it and surround it with battering rams. Then take an iron griddle and put it in place as a wall of iron between yourself and the city, and fix your gaze on it. The city is under siege, and you are the one besieging it. This will be a sign for the house of Israel. First is the sight, and the Seventh-day Adventist church is being under siege since 2015 by the Pope, and Pope will rise in May 14. And all this is in regard to the siege. Next, you are to lie on your left side. I have it bear the guilt of the house of Israel for as many days as you lie on your side. You will bear the guilt. For I am assigning you 1 day for each year of their guilt. And for us is days, because the prophecy was shortened, very much shortened. Praise the Lord for that. Like 1,260 days now is 3 years and a half. And these are days for us. It says, thus you are to bear the guilt of the house of Israel for 390 days. It's a year plus 1 month. Then when you have finished that, you are to lie on your right side and hear the guilt and bear the guilt of the house of Judah for 40 days. Each day corresponding to a year. For them and for us is 40 days. This is what I am assigning to you. You are to fix your gaze on the siege of Jerusalem, and with your arm bare prophesy against it. I am tying you down with ropes, and you are not to turn from one side to the other until you have completed the days of your siege. This is the meaning, my brothers and sisters. To Sister Escalante was told, she spoke this on February 6th. The Lord told her to gather this food that is telling, that it was told to Ezekiel. Take wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and buckwheat. Put them together in one bowl and make bread from it. For as long as you lie on your side, 390 days, this is what you are to eat. And then she was told the count of those 40 days will get exactly to the 14th of Nisan, which is the Passover, the Pesach. So those 40 days are to get to Passover. Those 40 days is a siege for Judah. Please, this is for the people that is seeking the Lord, the true Lord, the true God, the only God. And this is the people that has consecrated themselves, and they are still in Babylon. We will understand a little more in a little ahead. But the siege is the last time. This is the time like when the Jerusalem was on a siege, and then it broke for a little bit, and the Christians left the city and went to the mountains and never came back. Brothers and sisters, this is the last opportunity to leave the cities, to go and live in the mountains. The end is coming. For as long as you lie on your side, 390 days, this is what you are to eat. Each day the food you eat must weigh only 3/4 of a pound. You might eat it from time to time during the day. You are also to drink a limited amount of water. 2/3 of a quart you might drink from time to time during the day. The bread you eat is to be baked like barley cakes. You are to bake it before their eyes using human dung as fuel. And then Ezekiel says, Adonai said, this is how the people of Israel will eat their food. Unclean in the nations where I am driving them. I objected, no, Adonai Elohim, I have never defiled myself. From my youth until now I have never eaten anything that died by itself or was killed by wild animals. No such disgusting food has ever entered my mouth. He answered, all right, I will give you cow dung to use instead of human dung, and you can prepare your bread on it. He then said to me, human being, I am going to cut off the supply of bread in Jerusalem, so that they will anxiously wait out bread to eat, and horrified ration water to drink. Finally, due to the lack of bread and water, they will stare at each other in shock, wasting away because of their guilt. Now, you human being, take a sharp sword and use it like a barber's razor to shave your head and beard. Then weigh the hair on a balance scale and divide it up. A third of it you are to burn in the city when the days of the siege are over. So when these days are over, for Judah 40 days up to the 14th of Nisan. For Israel, for the rest of the Seventh-day Adventists, for the rest of all the Christian nation that has listened to the message, it will be a year plus 1 month for the siege. And at the end of this time, at the end of 390 days, that's when these things will happen. That's when the siege will cease, because the siege will bring famine. It will be hunger. It will be sorrow, because there's not going to be enough water to drink or bread to eat in the cities, and they were disobedient. They didn't left the cities. So it says, then weigh the hair on a balance scale and divide it up. A third of it you are to burn in the city when the days of the siege are over. So at the end of the siege, a third within the city will die within the city. And then says, take another third and hit it with your sword all around the city. So all that are going to be trying to escape around the city will be dead by the sword. Scatter the last third to the wind, and I will pursue them with drawn sword. This is coming for the Seventh-day Adventist after the siege, after 390 days. Also take a few hairs that tie them up in the folds of your garment. Again, of these take some, and throw them in the fire, and burn them up. From there a fire will come out against the entire house of Israel. And let me explain this that I didn't explain in Spanish, but this is what it is. The few that are in the fold of the garment of Ezekiel are the ones that are being kept in the fold. But from them the fire will come. And what it means is that the truth of the Lord will come from very few that are in the fold only few of them. And that fire has to go up. And it says, from there a fire will come out against the entire house of Israel. Why? Because those few are preaching the truth about the Lord. And the church or the churches don't want to listen, nor pastors nor leaders. And the fire will come because of this preaching of the truth of the Lord. This is Jerusalem. I have placed her in the middle of the nations. Here is what Adonai Elohim says. This is Jerusalem. I have placed her in the middle of the nations. Countries can be found all around her. But she has rebelled against my rulings and committed wickedness more than the nations, against my laws, and more than the countries around her, because they have rejected my rulings and not lived according to my laws. Therefore, here is what Adonai Elohim says, because you have outdone the nations around you, but by not living according to my laws and following my rulings, or even following the rules of the nations around you. Therefore, here is what Adonai Elohim says. I too am against you. Yes, and I will execute judgments among you while all the nations look on. Moreover, because of all your disgusting practices, I will do things to you that I have never done before, and I will never do such things again. Parents among you will eat their children, and children will eat their parents. I will execute judgments among you and scatter to all the winds those of you who remain. For as I live, says Adonai Elohim, because you defiled my sanctuary with all your detestable things and disgusting practices, therefore I swear that I will cut you off. My eye will not spare. I will have no pity. A third of you will die from plague or be consumed by famine inside Jerusalem. A third will fall by the sword all around Jerusalem, and a third I will scatter to all the winds and pursue with the sword. In this way my anger I will spend itself, my fury against them will die down, and I will be satisfied. Then, when I have spent my fury on them, they will know that I, Adonai, have spoken out of my zeal. And I will make you a ruin and an object of reproach among the nations around you, in the sight of all passing by, when I execute judgments and furious punishments among you in anger and fury. Jerusalem will be an object of reproach, derision, and horror, and a lesson to warn the nations around you. I, Adonai, have announced it. I will send upon them the deadly destructive arrows of famine, which I will send to destroy you. I will make the famine worse for you by cutting off your food supply. Yes, I will send famine and savage beasts upon you to leave you without children. Plague and bloodshed will sweep through you, and I will bring the sword upon you. I, Adonai, have spoken it. My brethren, this is the message of the Lord for His church, for His people, for the Seventh-day Adventist especially, and for all the others that believe, that are following the Lord and keeping their commandments, and that they will be saved. This is a warning. This is a message straightforward, even with dates. The Lord is placing a siege against his people. And the reason, if you notice, it is because it says that you defile my sanctuary with all your detestable things and disgusting practices. Which disgusting practices? Which disgusting practices the people of Israel did? They had these two calves of gold, worshiping them as if they were the gods that took them out of Egypt. Jeroboam said, "Here are your gods, Israel, that took you out of Egypt." Because Israel well know that it was the Lord God Almighty, Yahweh Elohim, who took them out and sent his angel before them by the hand of Moses. The Father and the Son together getting his people out of Egypt. And it is the same with the Seventh-day Adventist. The same did with the Seventh-day Adventist. Came 1888, and they rejected the most holy Lord of Lords. And now the end is coming. And 1931, they tried to install the Trinity, but the Lord marked 1888, because from then apostasy set in the Seventh-day Adventist. Up to 1980 in the Dallas, Texas GC General Conference, where as the Seventh-day Adventist installed Trinity in their doctrines, following after the steps of the Roman Catholic Church, papacy. It's not only that they make friends and they go to their reunions and they try to make friends with a harlot that we are supposed to be denouncing. It is that the Seventh-day Adventists worship the same Trinity. They follow the gods of Rome, the gods of Rome. They don't understand their dignitaries. They don't understand their God. They don't understand the Messiah as it is explained in the Bible. Paul was in charge of unveiling the truth of the Father and the Son. Why the Seventh-day Adventist doesn't pay attention to Paul? Infatuation. That's all that it is. And the Lord says that Seventh-day Adventists will not listen because they are stiff-necked people. But we need to give this message because it's a matter of little time. 40 days for Judah. 40 days for the ones that are truly consecrated, that are still worshiping the Trinity. 40 days from the date given to the 14th of Nisan to open their eyes, and 390 days for the rest that are in siege, that is 300, not to open their eyes, 390 days of siege, where it's going to be famine and death. Seventh-day Adventist church is about to be put in shame before the whole world, because the Lord set the Seventh-day Adventist as a watchman over the wall, and this watchman was taken down by Roman papacy. So this is the message, my brethren. And I guess I am going to be trying to give you more messages so I can practice this English, and please forgive the cuttings and all that bad pronunciation. But I know you will understand, because the Lord will make you understand if you want to. So I will be praying for you. I will be praying right now, but I will cut this message so it will be short for you. The Lord has his 7,000 that haven't bent their knee to Baal. And that is that little handful that is in the fold of the prophet. And from then it will be thrown in the fire. For you and for the world to be ashamed. And I am calling you to come back to the Lord. You might say, we obey his commandments. We are faithful. We keep the Sabbath. You even break the commandments because you have forsaken the Lord of the commandments. You did the same like Roman Catholic Church. The first commandment never restored the first commandment. That it says, I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have any other gods besides me. That's the first commandment. You just have to look to a Jewish Bible and you will see. But you don't want to see. Come back to your God. Come back to the God of your covenant. The God of Abraham, the God of Jacob. The time is running short, and the Lord is coming. And if you are not ready, you will die in your sin. But the Lord is speaking to everyone in their hearts for the last time. Israel, come back to God. Come back to the Lord before these horrible things happen. And get out of the cities. Trust your Lord. Get out of the cities and suffer out of the cities, suffer planting, suffer however it is, but it's better to suffer with God than to suffer without him. The Lord bless you, my brothers and sisters, and I will be praying for you. In the name of Yeshua, in the name of Prince Emmanuel. Amen.